They're the most loyal fans in New Zealand sport, in my opinion, the Warrior fans. And every year they say the same thing. Is this the year of the Warriors? This is the year of the Warriors. I say, is it? They say, yep, it is. Pricey, is it?
Yeah, we're always very hopeful. I mean, we're only 80 minutes away or 20 minutes away from it last year and got everyone excited again. So, yeah, the start to the year, we've come up against two very good teams in Manly and the Bulldogs who will be there or thereabouts at the end of the year, and we've been pretty good.
Hugh?
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason why not that they don't make the top 8, and there's still a chance for top 4. But I think it's too early for anyone to say who's going to be in those positions. But I think there's still enough excitement within the rugby league fraternity to say that they're going to have a good year.
Do you miss your day-to-day involvement?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Warriors, and I think they will have a great year. Personally, I think they've had a difficult start, as Steve says, but also, had some injuries to their leading senior players in the pack, and so had a lot of youngsters out there in the last few weeks, and I think it's probably the deepest squad the Warriors have had in all positions. I think Nathan Friend is a big addition, and I just think they will have a super year. I think they, I wouldn't read too much into. There's some issues at the moment, but I think, Lillyman, Luck, Rapira, you bring them back, that stiffens a lot of things for them.
Well, depth, and one guy they're going to have big trouble in replacing. We know he's going to go, and it's Maloney, because he's off to the Roosters. And that's a hard guy to replace. They've got somebody in mind already, John, have they?
Well, they've recruited Thomas Lillaway, so I assume that's the player that they're looking at to replace James Maloney. Maloney will be a big loss. I'm not sure he's in the top tier of halves, but he's pretty good, and he's played very, very well for the Warriors in recent times.
Steve?
His development since he's come to the Warriors, I mean, he was at Parramatta, he went to Melbourne and didn't sort of crack it and got his chance with us at the Warriors, and he's become one of the class players of the comp. I actually believe he probably wasn't too far off making the tour of the Australian side last year. I think, obviously Lockie was there, and if they didn't pick Cooper Cronk, he would have been the guy to be a sort of a backup guy. If Origin was played later in the year, I think he would have been a big show for New South Wales. He started off well this year. You see the lines he runs. He's a goal kicker. He's very good at kicking off, general play. And defensively, he's pretty good. So he's still got a bit of improvement, but I think he's turned into a very good player. And I'm pretty sad to see him leave, to be honest.
You've been involved in professional league a lot longer than any of the rest of us, actually. And so I've got to say something to you that I just didn't think would happen. When I heard he was going, I've probably got a different attitude. I thought, oh, well, we're not going to get much value out of him this year. And then I looked at the way he's played, the way he played through an injury the other day. They couldn't get him off the track. It's a different attitude, isn't it? Oh,
he's great for the team, and I'm surprised to hear Steve say that he's still got some improvement in him. Geez, he's going to be one hell of a player if he's got improvement left in him. I think he controls a lot around the paddock that not a lot of people see. We see what Sean Johnson does because he's so fleet-footed and can get around, and it's fairly showy what he does. But this guy controls where things go, where people go, where the team or where the ball heads. And his kicking game, short and long kicking game, will be sorely missed up. I don't know if he's going to add that much more to the Roosters. I think he'd be a bigger loss to the Warriors than what he'd be a gain for the Roosters.
They're playing some exciting league too. Now, I don't know much about Bluey McLennan, but he is somebody who's very passionate. I'm going to suggest to you he's not very different from you in the way that his team talks seem to go, and he is an emotive person, isn't he?
Yeah, he loves the game, and he's passionate about the game and about his players. I think he's going to offer a lot to the Warriors. But he would be disappointed with the start that they've got. I mean, Steve and I were talking before, they've conceded a lot of points in the first minutes of all three games. They've been on the back foot, so that's where they've got to fix. But they are playing some good football. Feleti Mateo, for me, is one of the real superstars of rugby league.
Yep.
And I thought we started to see it in the weekend. Yep. And James Maloney's no fool. He knows the lines to run off him, and he capitalises on that. So, I think they've got the ability to open up a lot of sides. They've just got to get their edges defence right, and I'm sure Bluey McLennan's going to have a great year with them.
Ali Latiti, he's a bit like him, Mateo.
Yeah, when Feleti come over, everyone said, oh, Ali's coming back in a different sort of a way, but they are different players. Ali, when Ali was at his best, the game was very different to what it is now. Feleti, he's just as big, he's just as agile and just as skillful and as strong. But they are sort of different players. You'd love to play with both of them in the same team. It'd be quite amazing. But, yeah, Folletti, you know, he's come to New Zealand. He's got really fit. He wants as much game time as he can get, and he likes having the footy in his hand. And that's the sort of player you want in your footy team. And guys just have to realise where to run off him. And, you know, as John said, Jimmy Maloney's worked it out. You know, if Kevin Locke can work it out and a few others, there's going to be a lot happening around Folletti Mateo.
Which is a real surprise that he's actually starting from the bench again this weekend, Folletti. Someone with that sort of capacity, why wouldn't he be starting the game?
Do you think it's because you know, once the defences get a little bit tighter, or you know they're softened a bit, it's easier for him, and maybe otherwise he's doing a lot of defensive work early because you know he's a good defensive player. He's not a great defensive player. He's a marvellous attacking player, and maybe they're thinking, you know, as the game opens a bit, he's better. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's pretty surprising in terms of, you have a look at the impact when he came on the field on the weekend. That game changed. He created 2 tries just like that.
It did, but unfortunately we were down 16-0.
You're down 16-0, which is the start.
So we had to do something. But, yeah, I see what you're saying. And I suppose the way Bluey's gone in the first 3 weeks, he's named blokes and hasn't started with them anyway. So even though he's starting on the bench, he might even start the game. So who knows?
Well, there's another thing that he does which is different. I could always understand Ivan Cleary, despite the fact that I've never played league, because I think Ivan Cleary is conservative, and I loved his coaching. So that if there was a penalty given, I knew that Ivan Cleary's team would take the shot at goal. But I'll tell you what, not now. This bloke taps them from everywhere, so he's obviously said to them, we're going to take the tap. Now, you leagueies have always tapped the ball more than take the penalty, haven't you? Yeah,
and I think the trend's starting to come in. I think we saw it with Jamie Soward with St George. He was forever taking shots at goal.
Watch this. You know, I would have thought she was right
normally
on.
It's a tap and go in those situations, especially if you've been pressuring them for you know, a fair period, that you would keep the pressure on. I don't know if it's Bluey himself or he's just left it open for the captain to make a call, or the halves make a call.
I'm sure it's up to Simon, and depends on how the game's going. You know, you're down 8-6, Parramatta are up 8-0. You got a little bit of momentum. Why just take the 2? Then you go back to your try line, you make an error, and then you're under the pump again. You know, push for the try. If you don't get it, get a repeat set. Start to get some juice out of them. Because we unfortunately didn't have the ball very early in that game. We started to get some footy. Don't give it straight back to them. So it depends on how the games are going. And unfortunately for us, we've been down a little bit in most of the games. So 2 points wasn't going to make much difference if you're down. In that game, it probably could have, but that certainly put us forward on the front foot. You know, down 8-0.
I think what Stephen's saying, that's the point. It depends where the game is at the time. I don't think you can say you're just going to tap kick and you know, you're not going to take shots at goal. No. In close games where there's not a lot of scoring, where there's rugged defence, where teams are smashing each other, you'll take the 2 points when you can get them, because you need every point you can get. So I think it comes back to situations. I don't think if you go out with an attitude, say we're not going to kick for goal, we're just going to run the ball, well, watch out. I think you'll be in trouble.
Now, the decision be made, according to all of you, by Simon anyway. You really rate him, don't you?
Simon Mannering?
Yep.
Well, he's one of the most professional people I've seen in the game, both rugby and league. I think he is an outstanding leader by example. Doesn't say a lot. The try he saved on the weekend was unbelievable. He has great strength. He's a great defender, and he is absolutely Mr. Reliable. I mean, to me, the ultimate pro in the game. He is.
There's the try there being saved.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge. Oh. That was huge.
And he does that every week, and you don't always see that. Like, whether it's the commentators don't talk about it or people at home don't necessarily see it, but that's happening every game. And, you know, whether it's him or Lucky's not there at the moment, but Lucky does similar stuff to that. And it's not always counted as a stat, whether he pushes up to drag one of the crabs off a guy who's got the footy, or there's just all little things that he does, and that comes down to preparation and training and just having that mental state. And he has got it. He's at it from a young age.
He does so much off the ball that you don't see. Even talking to players, you know, off the paddock. Now, we're talking contrasting styles of what Steve used to be like as a captain to Simon now being in the role. I think you're getting the same result from the other players. I think he's tremendous, and I would have thought that by now he would have been captain of the New Zealand team because of what he provides to the team, and not just the spark, but it's what he says, and sometimes what it is that he doesn't say as a player and as a captain. You know, makes a world of difference to the rest of the players.
The only great thing is it's not affecting his performance, that extra responsibility. What, say, with Benji, I think it does. When he's captain for New Zealand, I don't think he plays as good as he does when he's not. Whereas someone like Simon, it wouldn't impact on his performance because he does the same thing anyway, and he's shown that.
I think what Hugh said is so valid. I mean, Simon captaining the Kiwis would be easy for Simon, and I think would be really good for Benji, because I think he could then just play the game rather than worry about the game.
Yeah. OK, just to go back to the issue, chances then, good for the Warriors to come through? Is this the year?
Too early to say that. Top 8, definitely.
Yeah, I think from the weekend, the Bulldogs are going to be up there and we weren't too far off it, so we'll get better.
I reckon there's 5 or 6 sides showing form already that'll be there at the end of the year. I think the Warriors will be one of them, but it's going to be a tough year because sides like Melbourne look pretty good again.
Well, people will appreciate the three of you with your point about Simon Mannering and Benji and how they could both benefit if there was a change there. Now you come down to another one that a lot of people are upset about in rugby. They want a result. They say there should be a golden point in rugby. And I think we might have a bit of a difference here. You favour the golden point in all games, Pricey?
I was one of the people who pushed for it. I go to the basketball a lot, and I love how they get a result every game. And the desperation that you see in games when it is after the hurter. I'm not a fan of being by a field goal, but it's still a skill. I'd love to see it for a try, for a 4-point result, and you'd see some desperation from teams throwing absolutely everything at each other, whereas at the moment it's just to get into field position to kick a field goal or get a penalty.
Hardy?
Yeah, I think it's great TV. I mean, it's great to watch, there's no doubt about it. But, at the end of the game, if teams are drawn, they've drawn. And what's wrong with a draw? I mean, my mate here doesn't like draws because he wants to wants to come off winning, but,
That's still there.
Yeah.
If you're still at the end of the 90 minutes, it's still a draw.
I wouldn't go golden point. I think the game's 80 minutes, and that's what you want. And golden point can do a lot of damage too, because players having to play another 10 minutes can be very damaging on the bodies for next week. It's not an easy thing to do.
Hugh?
We've got to have a look at why golden point came about. Is because teams weren't happy with the draw. Fans weren't happy with the draw. Coaches weren't happy with the draw. So they brought in golden point. Now we're having those same people saying we shouldn't have golden point. And to get back to your point of what you're asking, should we have it in rugby union? Why? They already have bonus points.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous, those bonus points. That's a different issue.
So
they are
bring
ridiculous,
in something
mate.
else. I agree totally.
Yeah, totally ridiculous.
I don't know what a golden point is going to do in rugby. There's plenty of opportunity.
This is where I'm a bit different from you on this, Steve. A guy rang me up the other day on radio and he was talking about the English Premiership in soccer, and it was a terrific call. He said, we've never had it, we haven't needed it, we have respected our opponent, that if we can't get 1 point ahead at the end, that is what the game is about.
It's not unique that it's not a draw in soccer, but...
Eh?
It's either 0-0 or 1-1 in most games, and it's whoever
so hard
wins
to get a
game.
goal in soccer.
It is.
Golden point soccer, golden goal is
It's not going to work there.
No.
But it's
Be waiting a long
But he's
while.
also talking about a league, that a league goes over a whole year, that you don't divide it up to have semi-finals, which, as John has touched on, are for television, for the television audience. If you're going to have a league and give the prize out for the best team, it'll be the team that's accumulated the most points over the year.
That's why bonus points wrong, because the teams can win a competition and win less games than somewhere else. I'd come back to a very simple model: win and lose, draw.
And remember, in that league situation, it's whoever finishes first at the end wins the league. In the games that have been played, or the competition being played here, it's to make the top 8, and then competition starts again. So it's to find a number of teams to
different
finish.
purpose, isn't it?
The other thing about rugby is when the siren goes at the end of the game, it's not always straight away over. They play until the ball's out or knocked on or whatever it might be. So you sort of almost have a golden point situation anyway, really, because if it's all level, you've still got a shot.
You're not having a crack at us about the way we seem to have problems in my game with the end of the game, are you?
Your game.
You're not saying that we don't know how to run.
With respect, what a great example last week, Chiefs Brumbies.
Exactly.
It was virtual kick-off. When they kicked off, it was full-time. And the Chiefs kept the ball for, 9 or 10 plays. The game was well over